walk us through your crime fighting experience from earlier today?
Oh, here we go, guys. Put your seatbelts on. All right, so this is what happened. I was hanging out and I had my bat cave on, right? And okay, so check this out. One of my co-managers, his name is Glenn, and he has a family that lives here in the New Jersey area. So before my fights, I like to find a really beautiful site, whether it's the top of a mountain, next to a stream, anything gorgeous, nature-wise. I like to, associate nature with different levels of energy and all this. But anyways, that's a different topic. So we find a place in Paterson, New Jersey, where there's a bridge, and there's this very powerful waterfall, and there's almost like a little mountain. And it was beautiful, but around this waterfall and everything, it was a really ghetto area. And as the guy pulls us up in his car, he's like, I'm in the passenger seat, Greg, Jackson, and Winklejohn's in the back seat. He's like, listen, guys, before I drop you off here, I want to let you know this is a pretty bad neighborhood, so you might want to be careful. And I'm like, dude, we're all MMA guys. And he's like, well, I'm just letting you know, a lot of people get mugged here. Just as he said that, I turned to pull off my seatbelt, and the guy, I see an old Spanish couple like screaming, and they're like running. They look like they're out of breath big time. And I'm like, dude, they just got mugged. And he's like, no. And I'm like, maybe not, I'm tripping. And you just put that in my mind. So Mike Winklejohn hops out of the car, and he's like, you guys okay? And then she's like, the guy he just broke my window open, and he took all my stuff, and he's running. And so I'm like, what? So Mike Winklejohn, without hesitation, he just starts running, right? And I'm like, holy crap. And then Greg Jackson, he just starts running, and they both start running. So I'm like, what is happening right now? So next thing you know, I have like sweatpants on, I have an iPod and my Droid X, my wallet. I'm like, what is, where am I? What's going on? So I'm like, okay, it's time for me to take action. So I take my hands in my pockets, I throw my stuff on the floor, and I tell our driver, I'm like, dude, take care of my stuff. I throw it on the floor, and I just start running, right? And I got these gazelle legs, so I'm running, right? And I'm running, and next thing you know, I catch up to my coaches, and I'm jogging, and there's a sprinting, right? I'm like, so what do we do? Are we gonna catch this guy? And he's like, John, you get back. He's like trying to swim move me, like get over me. He's like, get back. You don't need to be involved with this, right? And I'm like, nah, Coach, God, trust me, man. I'll be okay. So then I put the Jets on, I went TO on him. So I put the Jets on, and I catch up to the guy. I'm like, how you doing? You think you're gonna? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. So anyway, so the guy, I'm like closing in on this guy, I'm like 20 yards away. And the guy's like, you can see that he's starting to get winded. So he's like, he got this stuff, and he's running. And he looks back, and he usually sees me, 6'4". You got Greg and Wink UFC behind us. Yeah, Greg and Wink's behind me, and I'm just running like, I'm gonna catch you, right? So the guy looks back, and then he trips over his own foot. And so at the time he tripped over his own foot, I got so scared because I didn't know what I was gonna do when I actually caught him. So I actually started barking like, I'm gonna get you, So the guy's like, he looks back like, oh crap, but he's trying to stand up. And when he was standing up, I approached him when he's like in a, in your march cassette go type of stance, because he's like trying to get his momentum back. And one of his behind feet, I just came up with my foot and scooped it out from under him with my foot, just kicked him from the back, kind of kicked his ankle out. And he fell down, and when he fell, he scraped his hands up pretty good. And so he's down on the floor, and I'm thinking I hope I don't get stabbed right now. So I'm just looking at him should I ground and pound him? And Greg Jackson just comes out of nowhere and jumps on the guy's back, and he starts speaking Spanish, and I'm like, you know Spanish? All right, so I'm like, let me do something, right? So I grabbed the guy's feet, and then I put him in this move, because I went to college for criminal justice, and I had a class defensive tactics. So I grabbed him, and I figure four his legs, and I sat on his legs, and he's screaming at us, and Greg's speaking Spanish. So as I'm sitting on this guy's leg, catching my breath a little bit, because we're sprinting uphill, I realized that I'm in this Spanish neighborhood, and all these people are coming out their houses yelling Spanish across the street. I'm like, oh Lord, here we go. What is happening? Greg's yelling Spanish to people, and then a guy walked up to us, and he's like, yo man, that could have been my mama's car. And once he said that, I was like, yes, they're on our side. I'm like, yeah, you punk, that could have been his mama's car. And so we hold them, and the police come, and at that point, I'm just sitting and I'm resting. I'm like, you know, because I got a fight coming up, so I'm just holding this foot here. Like, man, you got me breathing hard and stuff. And so the police comes, get out of his car, and he's like, what are you doing here? Like, aren't you fighting tonight? And I'm like, yeah, man, I was trying to get my meditation on. And this guy, you know, but anyways, it was great, you know. The police didn't give us a ride back to the crime scene, so we had to walk all the way back through this neighborhood. You know, I'm looking around and stuff. I don't speak a lick of Spanish. So, yeah, it was pretty interesting. And the lady, she came, and she's like, oh, it's so good to see people like you guys here to help me. You guys cared enough to chase that guy. And the police had told her that I was fighting and everything. She was like, you know, God's gonna be with you tonight, man. You're gonna do good. God bless you, son. I'm gonna watch your fight. And I was like, thank you, ma'am. Then we went, and we all felt like superheroes. We just had the best meditation session ever, and I just felt really good after that. I was like, I gotta win this fight. I got the hard work, dedication, and now I got karma on my side. So it was crazy. It was good.
And the part that he's leaving out, his brother told me back in the dressing room that after they caught the guy, he was going, you know what? People work really hard for their stuff, and you stole it, and you shouldn't do that. You should choose a different path in life. He's over there preaching to the guy.
What if that was your sister, and you just broke her car windows? Like, would you like it if someone did that to you? Like, Greg Jackson's like, you punto manico, like all these things. Yeah, Shogun hit me a few times, like in my neck and on my shoulders, and I felt how hard that would have been if it hit me on the chin. But, excuse me. Sorry. I don't look at my moves and my style as being flashy. I really don't. It's the only way that I know. I started off with pretty much zero trainers, and I had taught myself a lot from the YouTube. So where most people start their first classes with, 1, 2, hook. I started my first classes like watching YouTube, and then I would come home and like, let me just try this spinning thing, and it's the only way I know. I really don't look at it as being dangerous or being flashy at all. I call it more like unpredictable, and I don't worry about the danger that I put myself in when I go for these unpredictable techniques, because once you're initiating the technique, most people are more worried about, holy crap, like what is this gonna happen? They're more worried about defending their head than trying to counter something that they usually don't have thrown at them. So I hope that answers your question.
You started with a few dipping into your bag of tricks right from the beginning, and I wondered, were you sort of freestyling, or had you scripted anything at the beginning?
No, I had, because of how passionate I am about martial arts, I have all these moves in my head, and Greg's job first is to teach me how I could lose, and that's where we start our weaknesses on a training camp. And then we work towards our strengths towards the end of a training camp. So as you can see, before the fight, I'm like doing the Ali shuffle and like dancing. I was trying to psych myself to realize, hey, John, get comfortable here. Like, make this your octagon. Be free flowing. Use your body. There's a quote that says, tension and effort actually creates more hesitation, and it makes more. It messes with your coordination. So I was just focusing on being really relaxed and just let my body flow and let my body move like Anderson does. He just does everything. So I had established in my mind that that was going to be my cage for the night, and that I was going to let my body work the way I know it could work. That's why, like, one of my first moves was something that you wouldn't see normally. It was a move that involved a level changing, a punch fake, a level change, and a fly, because my body was relaxed. I was allowing it to work. If that answers your question.
It does, and if I could just follow up, I know you just got out of the cage. You've just had 2 fights, though. Would you like to have some time off before the next one?
Absolutely. I owe it to my family. I owe it to my family and my daughters and my future wife. Fighting takes a lot out of me on a mental level. And my girlfriend has to deal with me having little mood swings and all that. And it's time for her to go on a good vacation. So I need to relax just for a little while and work on being a better man, a better champion, a better martial artist, and to come back even better. But to rush back into it, I would appreciate a little time to myself to kind of take everything in and become better.